closing. Okay then, let's go ahead and see what is currently going on. Whoa. Ah, let's see what's happening in the market today. All right, that's what we're here to do. Okay, so I got that out there. Let me just get it out on WhatsApp as well. We can do everything. We can begin. Okay, we got that. Yeah. Let's see if I can put this out on Instagram. Copy. How's everyone been doing? What's happening, guys? How's it going? Okay, then. Okay, we're good. Looks like it's all going well. You have, from what I can see, you should be able to see, what is it? A vote out there because we come up with a poll. Polls about where do you think the market will go in the second half of 2025. So join in for that. One is that you should see it much higher. Maybe you should also see it slow and steady. Is there a major correction coming? That's another option. And no clue, and we're just waiting and watching is the second option. It's the fourth option. So let's go see what works. Good. You guys should be able to hear me clearly as well by now. So we got that under the hood. Let's go see what else is going on. Do we have anything going on here? Let me see. So let's go see how the market closed. Let's see what's happening with everything. I do know that it was a green close any which ways, considering the fact that we had some USA Japan news as well that wasn't really that great. They did come out and say that if Japan doesn't agree, then he's just going to set the rate and get it done. The same thing that he did with Canada, right? So pretty much they're letting Japan know that if you don't agree to what we're saying, you're screwed. Anyways, so let's go see what's happening with the market. The Nasdaq closed 144 points up, 22,679. The Dow closed 275 points up. The Russell closed, actually, the Russell, which I was expecting it to close a lot higher, closed actually only 2.5 points higher. I've been saying that in my live previously as well. So go ahead and look into that. You should be able to see why the Russell, I do believe, will be the best performing stock index for the next 6 months. We're going to run down how the 2 quarters have done for this year. We're going to then look at the next 2 quarters, what stocks to buy, where you can make money, where you might possibly lose money, where it makes sense to add into some stocks, where it doesn't. So let's do that. Anyways, for anyone that's new here, go ahead and subscribe and make sure you join in for the lives and drop yourself a hi and let me know who you are. So I know what's going on here. I know who I'm talking to then. Okay. We still got the index at about 22,667 at the futures right now. So it's not really been that bad. It's still looking okay. It's not that bad a day as of now. We did see Nike fall. Nike, remember, Nike went up 15% on Friday. So as of Monday morning's close, we were down 1.39%. So we did recover. I still remember seeing we were down more than a few percentage points on Nike. And that's not the case at the moment. So that's good. All right. Let's go and let's actually dig in a bit more. Let's see what else is going on. Right. I'm going to keep you guys a little bit there. So I can do some stuff out here. So you guys can then, I can keep talking while I'm still looking at this stuff. Okay, so we had the volatility index, which was up about 7%, but closed only 2.5% higher. So that was actually a good sign that markets were recovering. I was actually a bit worried about this fact that why was this morning volatility index up so much? But from what I can see, it was more to do with a lot of, there's been a lot of FOMO, call buying, put selling, put buying, call selling that's been going on. A lot of people trading options. And that usually causes the volatility index to creep up bit by bit. It's not something to worry about. It's just something to notice and keep noticing because that's what you want to see. Anyways, everybody just go ahead and vote. I want to know what's going to be happening with our current scenario of the vote. Where do you think the markets will go in the second half? So drop into that. Let me know what you think. Okay, so let's go over a few of these things. All right, let's look at 6 months. You saw the Nasdaq close about 7.93% higher. Okay, considering all that we've seen this year, it's a great close. Considering all the tariff nonsense, everything that's been going on, right? Iran, Middle East wars, oil going up to 75. With all of that crap, we still had the Nasdaq closing close to two-quarter highs, all-time highs, 22,679. So that's for the Nasdaq, 7.93% for the Nasdaq. The Russell closed about negative 2.47. Again, way above from where it was before. 1,740 was what the Nasdaq, the Russell was at. We closed at 2,175. So great 6 months again. The S&P 500 was up 5.5%. Again, close near the highs. Phenomenal stuff. No one was expecting this to be happening middle of May, right? We were still saying that we would be higher, but I wasn't expecting all-time highs to come through in June itself, right? But the market doesn't need to do what I wanted to do. Till the time it does what makes me money, I'm happier, right? The Dow closed about 3.64% higher for the next 6 months, right? So that's what happened the previous 6 months. Okay, let's go see the bond yields. The bond yields were down 7.46% for the 6 months. So everyone's screaming about, oh my God, the 10-year bond yield is going to kill us and, markets are going to go crazy. If we hit 5% on the 10-year bond yield, it's over for all of us and all of that. Same old story that we were listening to, right? Anyways, the 10-year bond yield closed lower for 6 months. So since Trump got inaugurated till today, the bond yield is lower. The 2-year bond yield down 12.14%. So that's that, guys. What I should go see is the dollar index because that has fallen 10% in 6 months. 10 goddamn percent. That is a lot. That is not small at all. Hopefully, we recover from there or stay steady so that everyone can make some money. All these companies will be making a lot of money if that happens. Okay, let me see what happened to the USD JPY as well. Remember, the dollar yen as a pair is a risk on risk off sentiment. If things in the world start looking shaky, people go in and sell the dollar and buy the yen. So you start seeing the USD JPY heading lower. Now, this 6 months that have passed, things have been shaky, which is why you are seeing the USD JPY, the yen basically appreciating against the dollar 8.48%. So the dollar weakened by about 8.48%. So that's that, right? You had gold for the previous 6 months up 25%. So gold has been beating the S&P 500, beating the Nasdaq, beating all of these, everything else being up 25.87%. Silver has been up 24.85%. So there's parity among gold and silver in terms of dollar based returns. So that's been going pretty well. Now, this is the fascinating. The euro dollar. A lot of people never expected this, but what you don't expect is usually what happens in stock markets. The dollar fell against the euro 13.83%. Keep in mind what I'm saying. These are currencies that we're talking about. These are not small time moves on some positions here and there. These are currencies. 13.5% on the euro against the dollar for the first 2 quarters of 2025. So that's that. Okay, let's go see some of the big stocks, how they performed. Apple is still down 18% for the current 2025 regimen. So year to date, we're down about 18% on Apple. Let me go see some of the stocks. Adobe is down about 13%. What else do we have? Applied Materials is up about 12.57%. Amazon should be flat. So we opened at 222 for year beginning. For Amazon, we're at 219.39. So Amazon's not done anything. ARM is up about 31. Broadcom is up about 18.9. Remember, the semiconductor space has been doing phenomenally well. We've been saying this before on our lives as well. It is the chips and the semiconductors that are going to take us to new highs, right? And it's clearly visible at this moment that that was the case. Anyways, let's go see some more stocks. CrowdStrike up about 48%. Wow, damn. Okay, let's see. Lululemon got its ass whooped. That was down 37.87%. So Lululemon trades at about 237 as of now. The highs were about 516. So that's something. All right. Let's go see Meta. Meta had a new all-time high yesterday, so it was up about 26% for the year. Again, been a phenomenal stock from the lows of 120, 89 to 120 in 2022. In exactly 3 years, you're up about 7 times. So that's saying something. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let me see if I can actually figure this out. Because then this should be worthwhile information. Anyways, Netflix up about what, 35, 40? How much is it? So what's happening with you guys? How's your 6 month portfolio been? How's it going? And if not portfolio, how's everything else going? Okay, okay, okay. Check that. Fine, fair enough. Okay, so Netflix was up about 50%, 50, for the first 6 months. That again went all the way from 170, 118, 2022 lows all the way to $1,339. So power of compounding, right? Nvidia up about 17.65%. Again, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Okay, let's go, let's go, let's see, let's see. PayPal up about, down about 12.92%. Starbucks flat 0.42. They got a new CEO, so hopefully things improve. Tesla has been lower, about 21%. So that's not looking good. The trade desk down 38%. Do I think it will recover? I surely think we're going to be now seeing it recover all the way maybe to 116, 118. So that's that. What else do we have? So that's in the, let's go look at the S&P 500. Okay, let's see what's happening with Bitcoin for the 6 month period. Bitcoin was up about 14%. So remember, gold's been the best performing index as of now. It's been beating all of these other indexes, be it equities, be it foreign exchange, be it whatever. Gold has been beating. So there is some value to that, right? Remember, I've been telling this to everyone. The only thing that gold can do is it does not default. Remember that. It does not default. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's see. Okay, let's go at a few stocks. Some of the stocks that I have on my watch list. A firm that was up about 13.53%. Lemonade was up about 20%. Reddit was down 7%. Again, Reddit's fallen from 230 all the way down to like 81. 81's back to 150. So that's that. The trade desk down about 38. Box was up about 8. Celsius up about 76%. Wow. Coupang up about 36. Disney was up about 11%. So let's see what happens to that. Nike was down 6.12, but it's on a road of recovery. So quite likely it should start heading higher. Starbucks, 0.42. Chime was an IPO that came out. So I'm still looking at that as to what's currently happening there. So let's see how that plays out. Okay, that's that. Go ahead and vote, guys. Make sure you subscribe as well. Dylan says hi. How's it going, Dylan? What's happening with you? Make sure you subscribe. Go ahead and vote. There's a question that asked basically on the poll saying, where do you think the markets will go in the second half of the year? Do you think we're going to go much higher? Do you think we're going to go slow and steady? Is it going to be a major correction coming? Or no clue and just looking? Okay. So that kills it for the stocks. Okay. One more thing that I need to say is how did the Chinese exchanges do for the 6 month period? That's actually fun. So I'm going to look at that. That was up about 18.68%. So not doing phenomenally well. The Hang Seng was up about 20%. So again, I'm just trying to see if there is anything that beat gold, right? Because gold was up about 25. Okay, let's see. Let's see what else. What else do we have here? Uh, Atul says hi. Why is DXY falling continuously? So DXY has been falling continuously, like you've been saying. Two reasons. With all of the tariff stuff that happened, a lot of sovereign wealth nations decided to reduce their treasury exposure. So that is going to cause some amount of dollar weakening to happen. Two, the administration wants the dollar to weaken. So they're going to do everything in their power to keep the dollar from going higher. Now, they will come out and say, to some extent, saying, yes, we want a strong dollar. Everybody has to say that. No administration, nowhere in the world can come out and say, hey, I need a weaker currency. My own currency must be weaker. But American companies are, think of it this way, Atul. A lot of American companies make their money by providing services outside America. So, on that situation, when they're able to sell outside America, look at something like Netflix, look at something like Disney, look at something like Spotify, look at something, any of these tech companies, and those are the ones that make most of the money for American companies and the economy. So, a lot of the money is made when these guys sell their services globally. When that money starts pouring back into America, it must get converted back into their own currency, which is the US dollar. So now if you have foreign exchange that gets converted back to USD, you're going to start seeing EPS pick up. You're going to start seeing margins improve because now you have an FX tailwind instead of an FX headwind. So while that happens, you will start to see a lot more amount of movement in the dollar, even though the dollar has been weakening. My bet is in the next 6 months, you should start seeing it either recover, not necessarily go back to its previous high, but at least recover a bit. If it even takes back the 100 level, that'll be great, right? Eventually, if it can hold on to the 100 level, phenomenal, right? Two, you haven't seen the Federal Reserve cutting rates the way people were expecting them to. They have been a little bit more hawkish than dovish, even though their statements have now moved towards being dovish. As they start cutting, as they start doing all of those things that they say within the treasury that Scott Bessent is also thinking of doing in bending the curve, the 2 year against the 10-year treasury yield, you will start seeing the dollar index possibly pick up high. Weigh that against sovereign nations globally, as well as other countries globally, and their central banks not buying more dollars, and remember buying more gold. So there has been a lot of gold buying happening within the markets comparatively to gold to DXY buying or dollar buying, right? So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing DXY falling continuously. And you're right, DXY for the 6 months, I was just talking about it, right, has been pretty weak. It has closed about 10% lower. You don't see that happen in currencies that often, but it does happen also. It's not like it doesn't happen. Since 2020, 2008, 2009, you have seen the dollar move substantially. In the month of July 2014, you saw it up 13%. The next 6 months after that, you saw it up 5%. January 17, 2017, it was down 6%. So you have seen these moves happen. It's not out of the ordinary. But it's something to just keep in mind because you could necessarily have a higher stock market with a lower DXY. It's not abnormal. It is a good thing in a way for equities because they tend to make more money. All these companies are going to be making a lot more money with a weaker dollar. Look at something like an Uber, right? It makes so much money outside America. A lot of that will be FX tailwinds, while the guide in their outlook has been FX headwinds. So because the dollar in the previous year was a lot higher. So the dollar did actually very well for 2024. If you look for the first 6 months of 2024, it was up 4%, and for the next 6 months, it was up another 2.5. So that's about 6.5, 7% on the dollar index. You've given back about 9, so you're back down to -3, which basically means that a lot of the companies, when they gave their yearly outlooks and yearly guides, will now have to go out and raise it just to adjust for FX tailwinds, which were earlier FX headwinds. Right. I hope that answers your question, Atul. Appreciate you joining in. Make sure you subscribe and vote, please. That's more important for me. Okay, we got another question from Ambani saying, any opinion on Sonata software and its upcoming future? Buddy, I have no clue what that is, but what I can do is at least look at the chart for you, but I have no clue what they do. I usually specialize only in American equity and maybe some amount of foreign exchange and commodities and all that, but not Indian stocks. I think it should go up, man. I have no clue about fundamentals, so I don't want to write the story with you trying to tell you that this is what's going to happen. But uh, my bet is you could see 500 and above on it, but that's purely a bet on the fact that the index is going to go higher in India, right? You are going to be seeing the Nifty, the Bank Nifty, all of this head higher. So as you get into this is something, right? I mean, if you're new here, tune into the live today because this is what I'm going to be talking today when the American market opens is why people get bull markets wrong, right? I've been doing this for now 15, 16 years. I've seen enough bull markets and bear markets. Bull markets are not a ceiling. You break out of that and you fly higher. Stop thinking of the fact that we're going to be having a sell wall, and because of that sell wall, we're going to be falling lower because a lot of people want to sell when you hit a new high. So that is not of concern here. Bull markets are usually built out of strength. Look for strength in stocks. Don't look for stocks that have fallen from like 870 down to like 410 and will they turn. This is a great company by the looks of it because it has compounded money since a long period of time, all the way back to 2016, 17, since I can look at this. Uh, at this moment, I would say this is going to be heading higher to about 600, 500, 600. But that is only because your index in India, which is the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, they do look like they're going to be breaking out into all time highs and heading higher. So if you're seeing a 10, 15% move on the index, on the Nifty or the Bank Nifty in the next 6 months, you will end up seeing a higher stock price in most stocks just because of something called as retail driven FOMO buying. Everyone's just going to come out and buy stocks because they're going to be like, oh, we missed out on the rally and this is what's going to happen. So possibly this can go to 500, 600 and you can make money. That again for me is a monthly, like 6 month target, bro. I have no clue what it's going to do in the next week, next hour, next month. I have zero clue, and I'll be the first to admit I don't look at charts or investments or trades that I make on a monthly, 2 monthly, even 3 month or 6 month basis. For me, it's more than a year at bare minimum, and 3 to 5 years is my sweet spot. So I stick within that. What do we have? Atul asks us, are you in the US? Nobody at the moment. I am in Bali. I am enjoying the weather here. I am heading to Singapore next week and then Dubai the week after. So that's that. Let's go over a few of the new stuff. If you guys have more questions, keep throwing it through. So I'll just keep coming back and seeing if there's anything. Until then, I'm just going to be. So let's see actually, what did the Nifty do? It was up about 3% for this. So the Nifty might have like pretty much underperformed most indexes. 6 months up about 7.92. Yeah. So its returns are as good as the Nasdaq or the S&P 500 for this year. So it's not done phenomenally well, but it's okay. Anyways, all of you guys that are new here, go ahead, subscribe. I do a live at about 45 minutes before the market opens in America, and about this time when the market closes as well. So I'm not a big fan of doing it intra market. Maybe we will. Let's see. Never write anything off. Okay, so we have the Nasdaq still up 25 points on the future, so should be a good close unless and until you have some shit going on in this world. Okay, let's see. Uh, OpenAI said it has no active plans to use Google's in-house chip to power its products. That's actually fascinating. There was news reports a few days back that now they are looking at Google's chips instead of Nvidia's chips. I mean, in addition to that. So I don't know how that's working out. But yeah. Anyways, we got the S&P 500 year to date of 6%. The S&P small cap and the S&P mid cap both were the mid cap 400 was flat at 0.2, but the small cap 600 was down 4.46%. So it wasn't really doing that well. Anyways, let me go ahead and see what other data do we have. The Dow was up 4.55%. So that's that. After a roller coaster first half for US stocks, investors are hoping for a smooth sailing in the back half of 2025. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. So you will have a lot of volatility. Remember, third year bull markets are usually very choppy. You usually see between 5% to 10% gains. Even if you see a 10%, that's a big thing. Already up 5%. So according to me, you'll see a lot of volatility. We still might see 6,500 on the S&P 500. I'm not saying December 31st we'll see 6,500. We'll see 6,500 somewhere in between the year. So quite likely that we will head higher before we head lower. And it's better that we stick that way. The euro just rallied against its strongest level against the Chinese yuan in over a decade. Yeah, that's happening purely because these guys want to stop their tariff nonsense from happening. If they can weaken their currency by 7 to 8%, and if their tariff rates are dropped down to 10%, it's only a 2% tariff, technically. Right? Think of that. Sometimes think about those things as well. Can FX be a move that can help you evade some of these or reduce some of these tariff pressures as countries? Right? Just saying. Okay. I see. I still do think 6,500 can come on the index. It doesn't look like it's something that is not possible. We do have some data coming out. So let's go and see when is that data coming out. We will be live today before market opens, tomorrow, day after as well. But remember, on Thursday, we have a half day because we close early for lunch uh, and the market closes as well. So we're not going to be doing a live on Thursday night. Or maybe we'll do a live on Thursday night. Yeah, after the market closes. But we're not doing it on Friday because that's 4th of July. So we have a holiday. Saturday, Sunday, we don't do lives unless you have a war like we had the 12th day war. So we were live at that time. Otherwise, we weren't. Okay, let me just go ahead and see because this is what I wanted to see was the economic calendar. We are supposed to be getting. What are we supposed to be getting? I don't want it for the day. I want it for the week. Okay, okay, okay. Uh, yeah, there you go. Let's see. Okay, so we got on Thursday, we have an early close in the market. So we're going to be closing at 1 p.m. We're going to be getting non-farm payroll. We're going to be getting jobless claims. We're going to be getting hourly earnings. We're going to be getting unemployment rate. We're going to be getting services PMI, getting everything that you could have imagined on Thursday. That's day after. So it's going to be fun. Okay. We also have Fed Chair Powell speaking. What time does he speak? 9:30. So that is going to be today. So Powell's going to be speaking today. So let's see how that goes. Also getting global manufacturing PMI at 9:45. At 10, we're going to be getting JOLTS, job openings. So let's see. These kind of data, remember, they're not important in terms of trying to figure out how bad are things getting. Remember, when markets go up, your job is to look for things that can make it go lower, not to look for things that can make it go high because it's already heading high. Look for things that are against conventional wisdom. When you start thinking that way, you can protect your portfolio. Cash is also a position. Please remember that. Stop thinking of this saying that cash is not a position. Cash is also a position. Always remember that. So at times, you should maybe just step back and look at a few things and see, can things get worse, right? Okay, okay, okay. Let's go back and see what's happening in the world. Mhm. Trump says that he would be thankful if the Fed chair resigns. Ooh, that'll be spicy if that stuff happens. There'll be some volatility that happens. Again, I don't think any of that's going to happen anymore. He's got enough things to fly on his end, especially with all of the stuff that's going on with trade, right? So I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue for him when it comes to those kind of things. Anyways, mm, Robinhood announces Robinhood crypto is now available across the entire European Union. Okay. Yes, gold has been the top major asset class through the first half of the year. That's what I've been saying. That's fascinating, right? If you look at Bitcoin up about 15%, gold up 25%, oil down 3%. So, don't know. Fascinating. Mm, Elon Musk says if the insane spending bill passes, the American party will be formed the next day. Okay. So, maybe things get worse with that. All right. Let's see what happens there. That'll actually be fascinating if I see that happen, where I would then expect Tesla stock to fall a lot more if that happens. I am not certain it will happen, but if it does, you never know. It'll actually be pretty bad. Let me actually go and see what's happening with Tesla in overnight market because that would have just begun. Uh, Oops, it's down about 1.88% in the overnight market. We're at about 311 on Tesla. So if he's going to be talking about starting a new party and all that other nonsense around it, it's not going to look that good, at least for Tesla stock. Right. Some price I will go in and buy. Not now. Some price. Not today. Okay. At the moment, overnight market for Tesla. Tesla closed 1.8% down yesterday, 1.85% down in overnight markets. 311.75 is where it trades. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Trump says we're not going to make deals with everybody. We have one coming up, maybe with India, a very big one where we're going to open up India. And the China deal, we're starting to open up China. Okay. Let's see how that works out. Stablecoin issuer circle applies for a national bank charter. I don't know how that's going to work out. If that's the scene that people actually do believe that you're going to start seeing a bank charter for these stablecoin companies, things can get ugly before it gets better. Then. So federal funds futures now puts the highest odds of three rate cuts this year. A week ago, it was two rate cuts. So now we're expecting three. My best case scenario is three. I still believe 3 to 4 is what will be, not two. We will do three. So we are going to be getting Powell speaking with Chairman Lagarde, Chairman Bailey, and Chairman Ueda from Japan. So all four of them are going to be talking. And we'll also be going to be getting vehicle sales. So Tesla's vehicle sales for the quarter that ends before will come in. They're expecting 355,000. I think it's going to be lower. Stock's going to fall more, even if it's higher and the stock falls, because there is some stuff going on, right? He wants to start his own party and all of this. So let's see what happens. Let's see exactly what happens. What in the world is BMNR? Bitmine Immersion Technologies. That shit went up 694% in a day. Are you serious? And it's up 40% in overnight trading. How in the world is that happening? Okay, there's some news that a $4 stock is now going to 40, 47 because of the stuff going on with I think who's the guy that came in? Tom Lee was the guy that came in. So Tom Lee decided to jump into some crypto startup or whatever. Apple loses bid to dismiss Justice Department's antitrust suit. Sorry, suit. It seems. Okay. Yeah, a lot of investors are leaning bullish into the next wave of investments for 2025. I think it's always prudent to start thinking of how things can get worse rather than things getting better when the markets are in a bull market. And when the markets are in a bear market like we were in April, yeah, everybody's screaming that, okay, it's not 20% down, so it's not a bear market. Listen, guys, with the speed with which it fell, it was a bear market. Even if it didn't turn up in numbers of negative 20 for the S&P, it felt like, so it was. People got shit scared and sold. So it was a bear market. Agree to it. During a bear market, look for green shoots. Look for things that can improve. And when you start seeing things improve, you will start realizing that the bottom will come closer. The markets usually bottom when you enter a phase where, on worse data and worse news, markets start rallying. That is when you bottom, right? Because people start believing it can't get worse. And that's when it reverses. Microsoft says it has developed an AI system that creates a path to medical superintelligence that can deal with diagnostically complex and intellectually demanding cases. Okay, whatever. State Department sells military, whatever. Okay, doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. Oracle stock hits a record high. So let's go see what the hell is Oracle up to. How did it do for the 6 months? Up 31%. Wow. That thing flew. Larry Ellison is a happy man. It's a $614 billion business. Let me actually go and see what was it at 2022. Trading at 60, 60, 62. Now trading at about 218. So that's that. Whoops. You guys have any questions? Drop into the chat and go into the questions. Ask me whatever you want to ask. We're just doing a halftime report. Halftime because it's 2025, halfway through. And we do this live every day between, I think, about 8:45, 45 minutes before the market opens. And yeah, somewhere around that time is when we do it. And then we do one post market, which is the one right now. So let's see. Hmm. Okay, that seems solid. We're good to go on that front. You mofos need to go ahead and vote into whatever it is and go ahead and subscribe as well. I'm trying to get to 200 subscribers. So we're trying to get one step at the time ahead. Let's see how it goes. Hmm. Yeah, that's the weird part. There's been an interesting divergence that's been setting up in between the Fed's summary of economic projections and the December contract. So Fed signaling fewer cuts, but the market is pricing in additional cuts. Despite what the Fed is projecting, the entire yield curve moving like the SOFR is winning the argument. We're going to be seeing three cuts most likely. Worth remembering where the terminal SOFR rate was coming into the year, the debate has switched to chasing the latest event. But this was the macro battleground. Okay, whatever. Correct. This I do agree with. The fact that Trump needs to, it's important for him to be perceived as he's winning. He has to wave the document and say that he's got this great deal and things have happened. The game is if you can keep the man happy by making him believe he's won, you have won too. Remember that. So that's that. There's been a lot of this nonsense happening with Zuck and OpenAI, right? He's been poaching all of these guys from OpenAI and getting them on board onto his system. So a lot of people have been like, how is that possible? How can that be? How? Dude, Zuck's doing Zuck stuff, man. He's giving them $100 million bonus. So Trump says he'll host Netanyahu for talks next Monday. Okay, fascinating. So that's going to be after the 4th of July weekend. Mm, okay. So Lemonade is reducing their reinsurance from 55% to 20%. What it means is that they will retain more profit but also retain more risk. It's probably a discretionary decision by Lemonade management. Uh, let's actually read this. Okay, anyways, we'll open that. So Lemonade says, given strong progress in the company's diversification, underwriting prowess, and loss ratio trajectory, the company has chosen to reduce the ceded proportion of its quota share reinsurance from approximately 55% to approximately 20% effective July 1st. Variable ceding commission rate related to the quota share agreements is expected to be roughly equivalent to that of expiring agreements. This year, we continue to reduce our reinsurance overhead, which is a reflection of how much stronger and more precise our tech-based underwriting. Okay, whatever. Reinsurance comes at a cost, and thanks to years of study, okay, all of that bullshit. Okay, we got to put this into Chat GPT to figure out how much of an effect is it going to be having in their books. Okay, okay, let's actually wait till Chat GPT comes back to me on that. Okay, nice to see all of you guys, man. Appreciate all of you tuning in. So, do me a small favor and help us hit 200 subs. That's the plan for now. And yeah, that's about it. I'm going to be doing this live even when I'm in Dubai, so in the Middle East, wherever I am. You guys can join in for that as well. It'll be fun. Syria's foreign minister says Trump's lifting of sanctions opens the country up to the international community and opens the door for reconstruction and development. Great. The S&P closes at a record high, up 4.95%. Uh, Boeing just announced as its next CFO effective. The dude's name is Jesus. Okay, so Jesus is now the Boeing CFO. That's going to be fun. I need to put this into the chat because Jesus is now the only one that can save Boeing. Nobody else. You can officially land on water now. You don't have to worry. Okay. Follow through month number 2. We've seen it before. Okay. Texas officially recognizes gold and silver as legal tender. Okay. Palantir was a top performing stock in both the S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100. What happened to Uber? Let me actually see. It was pretty much heading higher. For the 6 months, up 1.93% again. Uber had a 10% for the month. For the 6 months, it had a 54.68% rally, guys. 54.68%. So that's a lot, right? That is definitely a lot. So Lemonade is renewing its global reinsurance program starting July 1st. Mm, let's actually see what happened to Lemonade stock. Did we see it go up? Oh, dang, it was up about 4%. So that's not bad. That's a good move. Yeah, if it can take out the 47 levels, I think we'll be heading back to the 52, 53 and breaking out from there as well. So if we're able to break the 47, 48, I think 61 is on the cards as well for Lemonade this year. So that'll be a big move if that happens. Let's see. Okay. So Lemonade sells insurance, but it doesn't keep all the risk. It pays reinsurance companies to take some of the risk, like buying insurance for their insurance. That's fair enough. Now, because their tech and pricing are better, they're reducing how much risk they give away to reinsurers. In that case, they keep more profit for themselves, right? So let's say Lemonade sells $100 million worth of insurance policies. Earlier, Lemonade would give $55 million of that risk to reinsurance and keep only 45 million. In return, reinsurers would take a big chunk of their premium and profits. So that's how they used to lose their money to some extent. Now Lemonade will give away $20 million of the risk and keep 80 million for itself. So it keeps more of the profit if things go well, but also takes on more responsibility if there are bigger claims. Why does it matter? Because Lemonade believes its AI is working well enough to accurately price risk. By keeping more of the risk, it can boost margins and profitability, but it also has to be confident that claims won't surprise them. It's a trade off. Let's see what happens. Considering that, the stock seems happy. So, cool. Look at Chime as an IPO. It actually went all the way to $36.10 and then fell to 34.51. But that's okay. If it's able to break 36.50, 38, 39, I think we're going to be going into all-time highs. Quite likely scenario of Chime heading to 45 to 50 pretty soon. Let's see if that happens. All right. If you have a bull market, remember momentum is king, and in momentum being king, you can see stocks going all the way to even $100. Not too much. Right. Yeah. This session is fun, so I'm going to keep going on. I would have actually have shut down maybe in another 10, 15 minutes, but we'll keep going. The S&P 500's 24% surge from the edge of a bear market just gave the US equity benchmark its best quarter since December 2023. Wow. Ah, okay. So Trump now signs the executive order ending Syria sanctions. Cool. What do they mean by that? Wait, what? Really? What's up, guys? Mm, what is alligator Alcatraz? Okay, let's actually go and see what happens. Did we get 6,200 on the S&P? Yeah, we did get 6,200 today on the S&P. So what that means is we have a new cap. Looks like we're going to head higher. Quite the scenario. We might see some form of pullback. You can't always keep seeing rallies go up all the way. So you will see some form of a pullback. But eventually, I do think markets are going to go high. So everyone's going to be making money. Unless not until you have some bombs flying somewhere and some shit going down. But we'll see. Still time. Why worry about it today? Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Hmm. Netanyahu to meet Trump at the White House on July 7th. Uh, Apple Inc. shares adds to gains last up about 2.5% following Bloomberg News report that it's weighing using Anthropic or OpenAI to power Siri. Let's go actually see what's happening with Apple. Ooh, damn. Up about 2.48% in the last 4 hours of trading, up about 2% for the day. 26% away from its all-time high. Remember, if Apple starts moving up higher, you're going to start seeing the S&P and everything else pick up as well, right? Got a huge weighting. So Apple looks likely like it's going to go up. Let's go actually see what's the scene with leaps on Apple, if it makes sense to buy something on Apple. Let's see. 20th March, what are we trading at? 205. Let's see, 220. What was the high for Apple? 260. So yeah, maybe let's see 240. All right, 20th March. Let's see if we can get about 20, 205. Let's say we go to 250. Not bad. Yeah, it's pretty ugly in price that way, but let's actually see if we can get something in the 260 range. And what if we go to 250 in the next? We would pretty much have to start making a lot of money in the start in order to make money on Apple as soon as possible. So that leaps is not really going to make money. It doesn't make sense to buy those. I would have actually put in like 10, 15,000 into that just to see what happens. But nah, not really. Not that much fun. Maybe 16th Jan 2026 as an expiry. If that works in, could we see a move higher? Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Mm. Oh, so we got some people coming in and saying that they do believe that's low. Okay. No one believes we're going to be higher in the second half of 2025, which is actually fascinating now that I think about it. Most people are saying slow and steady or major correction coming or no clue and just watching. I would not have expected that in all seriousness. I would have expected a lot more people to be saying they're going to see markets being high. But that's good. Basically, that means we're still in a wall of worry. Okay, let me actually go see what's happening here. Right. What happens? Mm, I don't actually have a lot of time here because we're going to look at 16th Jan as about 6 months from now, and will Apple have a 20% rally? So that's asking for a lot on Apple. What's the last time we had a 6 month 10-15% rally? 49%. Jesus Christ. 18, 9, 29, 45. So maybe it has a big move. Who knows? What are we at? 3 trillion, right? 3.5 trillion, 3.6 trillion. Not too bad. Uh, so that means if we're expecting a move from 26%, which is 260, which is Apple going back to its all-time high, 26%, you could make about $37,000 on a $15,000 investment. That's not bad. Maybe I'll make this trade. Hmm. Let me add Apple to my perspective. Okay. Okay. Let me go see if I could. That's on that, right? So maybe if I'm expecting that to be at 250, hmm, 238, 245. Okay. I'm just trying to see what position for Apple would make a lot more sense, guys. Then I could go in and buy that as well. Mm, okay, that might not be a bad idea, but then I'm not going to be making that much because that's not happening that soon. So that doesn't make sense. 240 on the other hand might still make some sense, but not too much because that's expensive. It's not worth putting in that much money at this moment. Uh, Let me see, 16th Jan, if we actually do see a new high, The thing is, if you buy too much further out of the money, you're never going to really make money unless and until it actually goes up that much higher earlier than you expect. So never do that. That doesn't make sense. Always buy a little bit closer so you have some breathing space. Like let's say you go in and pick this up on 260, you should be making about 50K, right? 50K US on an investment of 20K. Now, for some reason, if you go in and buy Apple for the 240, right? Let's say 240, right? You can now pick up 40. Now what happens is you still make 50K, right? But if you do see 260 somewhere around October, November on Apple, you tend to make 85K. If you see that right about 50, right, you don't make that much money. But at 225, 250, nah, still makes sense to go in and buy something closer. So I'd rather go 20th March and then pick up further away and then go like 25. Now I could still make some amount of money and buy myself some time as well. Because if we do actually go to that levels, you could actually see it do pretty well. Okay. So Apple 20th March to $40 call most likely is what I will go ahead and pick up. I do think that Apple's late to the party, but it is Apple at the end of the day. They will get it right somehow or the other. And if they do, you will see the stock rising. It's not rocket science. 240, 16th Jan, we're looking at 30, 40. What do we see happen there? Okay, maybe let's do this. It's a little bit more risky, so I might not put in that much. But if you do see an all-time high on Nike before the year ends, you can make about 50K on a 20K investment, which is not bad at all, man. Never too bad. Okay, so that's that with Apple. Let's go. Let's move on. Let's see what else is going on. Okay. Okay. What else is going on? What else is going on? I'll be doing the live before the market opens as well, 45 minutes before the market opens. There's not that much news. So maybe about 9 p.m., 9 a.m. market opening. So you guys should tune in for that. Make sure you guys tune in for that, please. Okay. What else do we have? What else do we have in news? Elon Musk on Twitter says it is obvious with the insane spending bill, which increases the debt ceiling by a record $5 trillion, that we live in a one party country, the porky pig party. Time for a new political party that actually cares about the people. Okay. Tesla's Q2 delivery is expected to disappoint as Musk focuses on AI robotaxi efforts. Do you actually think the robotaxi might make more sense than Tesla car sales? Because eventually they're both intertwined. So Goldman says it now expects a better than even chance the Fed's first rate cut is in September. So let's see how that plays out. Anyways, guys, I need to hit the head. So hold up. So I will be back in 2 minutes. Let me actually see if I can put in a break here. Yeah. So let's do that. There you go. Yeah, yo, let's go, let's go, let's go. Too much coffee. You should now be able to hear me clearly as well. So we're good to go. Let's continue. So yeah, Apple might be a position that I take on. Quite possibly looks like something that could head higher. Goldman Sachs now expects a better than a chance the Fed's first rate cut is in September. Previously, it expected it in December. Hmm. Goldman says there's very clear evidence suggests that the tariff effects look a bit smaller than we expected. Other disinflationary forces have been stronger, and I suspect that the Fed leadership shares our view that tariffs will only have a one-time price level effect. Cool, 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 cool. Looks good for now. Okay then. Okay. What else do we have? What else do we have? SoFi hit a new high, 18.21. That's been doing pretty well. I think that could go all the way to 34. Let me actually go and see what's this deal with SoFi Leaps then. Maybe we could buy some SoFi Leaps. Okay. What should I buy that? All right. I'm pretty sure it goes down to 43. So 18 could go to, let's say, 44. What do we make then? Okay. Okay, let's see 200. What happens then? Not that much, actually. Hmm. Interesting. Okay, let's see how this works. Not that much money though. If we do head there, we'll make only about 100%, but still some money, right? I mean, I wouldn't write that off completely. Still, some money is better than no money. Okay, let's see what's happening here. Okay, we got. You guys should go in and watch this video whenever you get a chance. Let me actually see if I can put the link into the chat, so then you can go ahead and look at that. It's about real estate versus stocks. A lot of people keep wondering which is better, which is worse. So I don't usually take sides when it's related to something, but I'll put in the link here Watch it. Maybe you guys want to, and maybe it'll help you guys some bit. I have a few timeless wisdom videos, like 5 6 minutes. So go watch those. Sometimes they could be worth helping you out. You could see something that maybe it helps. If it does, great. It's all free any which ways. So why not? Right. What's the harm? Okay, that's done. That's done. Let's see. $1 billion bust. DOJ unveils largest healthcare fraud takedown. Okay. 324 people for 14.6 billion in false claims. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Anyways, Apple is considering using AI technology from Anthropic or OpenAI to power Siri, sidelining its own in-house models in a potentially blockbuster move aimed at turning around its AI efforts. So Bloomberg reports that if finalized, Apple would join Samsung in licensing third-party AI for its devices. Anthropic is reportedly asking for a multi-billion-dollar annual fee, rising sharply each year. I don't know how that's going to work out, but let's see. Apple must face US antitrust lawsuit accusing it of monopolizing smartphone market. Dude, what do you do? If everybody wants to buy it, what do you do now? How is that monopolizing? But yeah, Trump says AT&T is totally unable to make their equipment work properly. This is the second time it's happened. What? The percent of buy recommendations for S&P 500 companies has increased dramatically, usually a worrisome sign about future index returns. Kevin Hassett says there's a lot of progress in discussions with Canada. Press Secretary Caroline Levitt says we will hear about the trade deal with India very soon. Let's see how that works out. EU is reportedly willing to accept a trade deal with the US that includes a 10% universal trade tariff on many of its exports. Let's see how that works out. The White House says President Trump sent this note to Fed Chair Jerome Powell. It reads, "You are, as usual, too late. You have cost the USA a fortune and continue to do so. You should lower the rate by a lot." Whatever. I don't really think he's going to care about any of this. So, Bloomberg reports EU is willing to accept a 10% universal tariff on most exports to the US. Okay. US will just send letter to Japan. Yeah, that's the thing that's going to show people how spoiled countries have become with respect to the USA, and I have great respect for Japan. They just won't take our rice, and yet they have a massive rice shortage. In other words, we'll just be sending them a letter, and we love having them as a trading partner for many years to come. So we had Federal Reserve President Austin Goolsbee who spoke about something. He says, "Don't see any prospect of 1970s style stagflation," which is good. Let's see. Trump is meeting with trade team this week to set nation tariff rates. Okay, great. He says your trade deal with India should be coming pretty soon. So let's see how that works out. I'm pretty sure that something's going to work out with India for sure because it's easier to deal with them at this moment than the EU or any of that. That's going to take a lot more time and it's a lot tougher than people imagine it is. Mm, Trump will set rates if countries don't negotiate. Oh, Besant says people already at Fed are under consideration to replace Powell as chair. Might be Michelle Bowman or Christopher Waller. I would say if Christopher Waller comes in, the market would rally. Trump himself has not spoken. Things to be close. Space of AI developing, coming into sight. Beginning of new era. Okay, cool. US tariffs are at their highest level since the 1930s and likely to stay there, but BlackRock analysts still like stocks. They say we think immutable economic laws will prevent a return to maximal stance that paired with tax cuts and regulatory reform could boost investor sentiment. You don't- Okay. The White House says Trump asked Powell to lower it. Anyways, that's the same shit that's going on. Anyways, Netflix and NASA's little partnership to live stream content from the International Space Station on Netflix. That shit is going to get a lot of people to watch Netflix. Netflix will begin to stream live rocket launches, astronaut spacewalks, mission coverage, and breathtaking live views of Earth from the ISS. So that's just going to make this thing go to $1,500. I'm pretty sure it's just going to go higher and higher. It's not going lower. That's my view. I don't think it's going to be. Mm, let's see. Let's see more stuff. Ah, okay, okay, okay. Goldman Sachs pulls forward Fed rate cut to September from December, so that's good. Anyways, everyone that's new here, go ahead and subscribe. We're trying to get to our 200 number, so help us get there. We do this live pretty much every day, so you can join in and ask all of your questions as well. That'll be fun. June jobs data could decide July rate cut. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a good number, and that's going to eventually lead to. Oh, so pinned your dues. Temu resumes Meta Google ad spending in the US. So ad spending's back, guys. Okay, okay. Let's see. What else? What else do we have? What else do we have going on? 30 minutes of exercise can increase the proportion of tumor killing white blood cells. Okay, great. Okay, we got that shit. That's done. That's done. That's done. That's done. Yeah, the euro has extended its gains against USD to a new 2025 high. So that does currently look like it is going to be seen. The stuff that's going on. Robinhood shares hit a record high. Let's actually go see what's happening with Robinhood. 83, 84 is what I saw at 93, 12.77% high. This is momentum at its best. Remember that. This is absolute momentum at its best. They've launched new crypto products, including futures and tokenized stocks. It's more than it's going to be $100 billion business someday. It's going to 100. That I'm pretty sure it is going to happen. Hmm. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see what's happening. Okay. Do we have anything more here or no? Financial market impact of canceling coupon issuances or whatever. Doesn't matter. Not important. Not important. Not important. Not important. Uh, White House will restart negotiations with Canada immediately. Kevin Hassett declines to comment on whether he would be Fed chair. Yeah, whatever. Just trying to see if there's anything else. Otherwise, we'll get out of here. President, Fed President Bostic just said, I'm still there on expecting one cut this year. So doesn't look like that's going to go too well, but we'll see. Still time. Peasant on Bloomberg on the Fed chair. He says obviously there are people who are currently at the Fed who are under consideration. And on Fed policy, having failed the American people in 2022, they seem a little frozen at the wheel here. Okay. So I don't really know, but what these dudes think is going to happen. But Apple delays rollout of some iOS 26 features in the EU due to regulatory hurdles. Apple says the Digital Markets Act in the EU makes launches more complex and could compromise user privacy and security. Anyway, Jeffy is going to be selling some shares of Amazon because he needs to pay up for his marriage. Right. Besson says countries should be aware that we could spring back to April 2nd levies on tariffs if countries recalcitrant. I have no clue what that means. Tariffs could go back up. So things could get worse. Countries should be aware of a lot of things happening. But yeah, that is that. Anyways, guys, I think we're done for today. So enjoy your day. Have a good night. We will be catching up for market open as usual. Thank you for joining in. Appreciate everybody coming through. Thanks, guys. Take care.